I've always believed that some stories are too powerful to keep hidden, too raw and emotional to be locked inside one heart. And this one, my story, begins with a single decision that changed everything. You see, I could have chosen a grand city, a luxurious restaurant, or a glittering skyline to ask the most important question of my life. But my heart whispered something different. It told me to return, not forward. To step back into the soil where my roots first touched hers, where our laughter once echoed against the mountains, where our innocence was still alive. That small village, forgotten by most, was the only place I wanted to stand when I asked her to spend forever with me. When I first told her we were going back, she tilted her head in curiosity. Her eyes, deep and searching, studied me as if trying to unlock the reason behind my choice. I didn't tell her then. Instead, I let curiosity linger in the air between us, like a secret waiting to bloom. She smiled, a little puzzled, but agreed without hesitation. She always trusted me more than I trusted myself. And in that moment, I knew I wasn't just taking her home. I was taking her back to the beginning of us. The drive itself was a journey of memories. Every mile felt like peeling back layers of time. As we passed fields of golden wheat and crooked fences half swallowed by earth, my chest tightened. The closer we got, the more I felt like a boy again, barefoot, sunburned, chasing her laughter down dusty paths. I wanted her to feel it too, that strange mix of nostalgia and belonging. I wanted her to remember what it meant to grow up together, to dream together when the world was too big and our village was too small. But here's the truth I hadn't yet told her: this wasn't just a trip. It was a test of faith, a question wrapped in silence. I wanted to know if love, after all these years, was still as alive as the wind that carried our childhood secrets through the trees. And I carried something with me, a small box, hidden deep in my pocket, pressing against my leg like the heartbeat I was too afraid to let her hear. When we finally arrived, the village felt frozen in time. The same narrow roads twisted through fields of wildflowers, the same stone walls crumbled gently at their edges, the same small houses leaned against each other, as if still sharing secrets. Nothing had changed, and yet everything felt different. Maybe it was me. Maybe it was us. But as soon as we stepped out of the car, I saw her face soften. She took in the air, breathed it as if it carried the laughter of her childhood, and for a moment I caught her eyes shimmering with recognition. We walked hand in hand, wandering through the familiar paths. The bakery still smelled of warm bread, just like the mornings we used to sneak coins from our parents' pockets to buy a single loaf, tearing it apart with greedy, happy hands. The fountain in the square still trickled lazily, its stones worn smooth from decades of children climbing over it. She smiled as we passed it, and whispered, "Remember when you pushed me in here?" I laughed, remembering her squeals, the splash, the angry voice of her mother. The past had never left these walls. It was only waiting for us to come back. I wanted her to see it all, to feel how our story had been written into every crack, every corner. But what she didn't know was that with every step we took, I was leading her closer to the place I had chosen. The place where the question would finally leave my lips. That night, we stayed in the little guest house by the edge of the village. Its rooms were simple, but the wooden beams and old photographs made it feel like stepping back in time. We lay awake, side by side, staring at the ceiling, and I couldn't stop my mind from racing. Every detail of the proposal replayed in my head like a film. What if I stumbled on my words? What if she wasn't ready? But then I turned to look at her. She was asleep, her face soft, her hand resting lightly on my chest as if it belonged there. And suddenly, the fear faded. Because no matter what tomorrow brought, I knew she was already my home. The next morning, I led her down the dirt path that wound behind the church, the same one we had walked as children, carrying stolen apples and giggling like fools. The sun broke through the trees in golden rays, painting her hair with light. I stopped for a moment, just to take her in. The girl I once chased through these very fields, now the woman I loved with everything I had. She caught me staring and laughed, brushing her hair from her face. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she asked. I almost told her right then. Almost pulled the box from my pocket. But I held it in, waiting. The perfect moment hadn't come yet. We reached the old oak tree at the edge of the village. Its branches stretched wide, just as they always had, a living witness to our childhood. Beneath its shade, we had carved our names into the bark when we were only 12. I showed her the faint letters still there after all this time. She traced them with her fingers, and I saw the memory bloom across her face. "We thought this would make us last forever," she whispered, almost to herself. My throat tightened. I wanted to tell her that forever was exactly what I was asking for now. The day went on with laughter, stories, and quiet moments that felt like echoes of the past. And as the sun began to set, I knew it was time. I guided her back to that oak tree, the one that had held our secret for years. My hand shook as I reached into my pocket, feeling the small box. She turned to me, confused at first, then silent as she saw me sink to one knee. The world seemed to stop. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. I opened the box, the ring glinting in the fading light. Her hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with shock then shimmering with tears. "Here, where it all began," I said, my voice breaking. "I wanted to begin again. Only this time, not as children, but as the rest of our lives. Will you marry me?" Her tears fell before her words did, but then she nodded, her voice trembling through her smile. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." She fell into my arms, and for a moment, the world disappeared. There was only her heartbeat, her laughter through tears, and the quiet witness of the oak tree that had been waiting all these years for us to return. That night, under the stars, we sat by the fountain, her head resting on my shoulder, her hand never leaving mine. I realized something I hadn't before. Love doesn't always need grand stages or bright lights. Sometimes, love is strongest when it's wrapped in simplicity, when it's rooted in the soil of where it all began. That village, forgotten by the world, had given me the greatest gift of my life. And I knew that from that day forward, no matter where we went, our forever had already begun. There is something profoundly moving about returning to our roots. In the story we just walked through together, love wasn't proven with diamonds or cities full of lights. It was proven by going back to the soil where innocence once bloomed, to the places that silently shaped two souls into one. And isn't that true for all of us? In a world where everything pushes us forward, toward goals, careers, possessions, we often forget the beauty of looking back. Not with regret, but with gratitude. Our past holds more than just memories. It holds the very foundation of who we are today. Sometimes, to find clarity about where we're going, we must revisit where we've been. The smell of an old street, the touch of a familiar wall, the echo of a childhood laugh, all of these remind us that love, happiness, and meaning are not found in grandeur, but in simplicity. The greatest treasures of our lives are often hidden in the most unassuming corners of our story. Think about your own journey. How often do we chase after things we believe will bring us fulfillment, only to realize later that what mattered most was already right in front of us? A family dinner where laughter drowns out the ticking of the clock. A late-night conversation with someone who knows us better than we know ourselves. A quiet walk in a park where the silence says more than words ever could. These are not just small moments, they are sacred. They are the equivalent of returning to our own villages, reminders that true joy is rarely about what we acquire but about who we share our time with. In the story, the proposal wasn't about the ring or the gesture, but about the history and love that wrapped around that moment. And in our everyday lives, the moments that last forever are never the loudest ones. They are the ones soaked in authenticity and connection. Another lesson we can carry is about courage, the courage to express what our hearts have carried for too long. How many times have we silenced ourselves, too afraid of rejection, too uncertain of the right moment? Yet the truth is, there is never a perfect moment. The proposal at the oak tree wasn't perfect because of the timing, it was perfect because it was real. And in our lives, courage means telling someone we love them, apologizing when pride wants us silent, chasing a dream when fear tells us to stay put. When we dare to show our hearts, we open the door for transformation. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is kneel before another soul, not literally, but in vulnerability, saying, "This is me. This is what I feel. Will you accept it?" Life is too short to keep our deepest truths hidden. The story also shows us the power of simplicity. In a society obsessed with appearances, where we are constantly told that bigger is better, it's easy to forget that real happiness is found in the quiet details. The small village, with its cracked walls and fading memories, was worth more than the most luxurious resort. Why? Because it held meaning. In our own lives, we often overlook the magic of the ordinary. We underestimate the value of a morning coffee made by someone we love, the comfort of an old sweater, the way sunlight spills across our living room floor. These are the places where peace resides, not in extravagance, but in authenticity. And when we learn to celebrate simplicity, we stop chasing after illusions and start truly living. Finally, there is the lesson of forever. Not the kind that's carved in rings or sealed by ceremonies, but the forever that lives in consistency, loyalty, and daily choices. Forever is in the way we forgive, in the way we show up for people, in the way we choose love even when life makes it difficult. The oak tree was more than a backdrop, it was a symbol of promises made and kept. In the same way, each of us has our own oak trees, places where our commitments are tested and proven. Relationships, dreams, even self-love, they all demand that we return, again and again, to nurture them. Forever is not something we stumble upon, it's something we build, brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. And if we choose love, real, patient, enduring love, then forever is not just possible, it is inevitable. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this journey. If this story touched you, if these reflections stirred something inside your heart, I invite you to carry these lessons into your own life. Remember your roots, value simplicity, choose courage, and build your forever with intention. And now, I want to ask you for something. If this video spoke to you, please subscribe to the channel, share this story with someone you love, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. Together, we can build a community where stories inspire, heal, and remind us of what truly matters. Until next time, thank you for being part of this story with me.